Gail Lynn, welcome to the Creativity for Wellbeing Summit. What are you most excited about in your life today?
Oh my gosh, everything, but yes, I will answer more specifically. I am excited about the way the planet is changing. I'm excited about the people and the vibration of the planet just opening up to the love space, kindness. I'm seeing more love, more kindness, more community. I am so excited to see the future of humanity. I mean, I know a lot of people are really negative about this, but I see the beauty. I see more people paying it forward, more kindness, more smiles. And so, yes, I'm very excited to see how the earth changes and how Mother Gaia changes humans.
That is beautiful. Now that makes me want to jump in somewhere where I hadn't actually thought of jumping in quite yet, but that is the power of intention. And that has come up with other speakers. And it's also something that you talk about in your book.
We create our own realities. And I believe that we set an intention. Jonathan Goldman says frequency plus intention equals healing. So we're here to talk about frequency and color, and color is just a frequency of a light wave. And so I think it's just so beautiful when what you're doing with the creativity for well-being is just such a beautiful expression. And I think more people should get into art and hobbies. I color. And I'm thinking about doing a Zentangle class because I didn't know about it until I started researching you. It's just a beautiful expression to sit in silence. And we have intention. Nobody really knows who I am yet. We haven't really introduced me, but my art is the harmonic egg. My art is my engineering background in creating this large wooden sacred geometry egg as a sound and light healing chamber. But that's my art, and everybody should have some hobby and some art and something that they can express themselves. But we use intention and we use silence. And I think we don't spend enough time in silence these days because we have dings and rings and the ring camera and the phones and the TV and the radio and all these messages coming at us. But when you spend time in silence, that's where the magic happens. That's where you connect to your higher self, God, source, the universe, whatever you believe in. That's how the egg came through to me is in the silence. In those times when you're in the shower or you're on autopilot driving, yes, that sounds very dangerous, but when you've been driving for 40 years, you kind of get into the Zen space driving, especially the sunshine's coming in, you're nice and warm and toasty, you just got the cruise control on, and all these messages are coming in. And so when you sit in silence, it's just such a beautiful place to be. And when you're doing quilting or drawing or coloring, you can get these messages that are just coming through, such a Zen space.
Yes. And one of the things that I personally love about Zentangle is I can have my hand doing something and it kind of I love the high focus tangles where you really have to be paying attention and there's a lot of repetitive strokes, but it's almost like that takes away the chatty part of my brain so that I can experience the silence in the rest of it, and then the amazing stuff comes through.
Yeah, and a lot of people do intuitive writing. So they sit in silence and their hands doing something. So they're intuitively writing and asking questions and just writing what's coming through. And it's beautiful. You can almost hear when someone reads their intuitive writing that it's almost channeled. It
Hmm.
sounds like Harris and the Z's. It sounds like channelers, the way that they express the words in their intuitive writing.
Yes. So to get back to who exactly are you and why are you on the Creativity for Wellbeing Summit? And how does sound and light and color fit into the conversation that we're having here? So my little
Well,
introduction to
let's
you. was kind of one of those, oh my gosh, I need to talk to Gail moments. I heard you talking to Alex Ferrari on the Next Level Soul podcast, and you were talking about sound. And the bit that captured me was you were talking about color. And as artists and creative people, quilters, painters, knitters, crocheters, whatever, we're typically dealing with color. And we've all learned about analogous colors and complementary colors and warm colors and cold colors. But you bring a whole different level talking about the energetics of color. And so my overriding question for you is, how can we use the energetics of color when we're doing our artwork and we're doing our creative practices? But before we actually go there, how did you get to be in love with color and sound as healing modalities?
Wow, so that was a whole lot to unpack. And what just came through to me is I'm an artist. I've been saying I'm a filmmaker, an author, a speaker, an inventor, but I'm an artist. The egg is art. So thank you for bringing that to my forefront. I'm an engineer. I've done international business. I have a PhD in philosophy. So I feel like when I die, I'm going to be sliding into home base, safe. I've done everything that I could possibly do in this lifetime, and I have no regrets. Like I just want to do it all. I want to support people, inspire people. It's great. When the egg was in automotive, well, then I was in the good old boys network and telecom. Then I went to Hollywood and I did, it was a kind of a feature film with Elvis Presley's stepbrother on his life with Elvis. And at that point, I was on the verge of a nervous breakdown, severe cardiovascular stress. And just like most healers, they have this story where they almost died and then they learned how to support and save themselves. I just did it through sound and color. But in our current society, color associations are just different. If you look at things like McDonald's and fast foods, you see a lot of reds and yellows. Now your audience is going to say, "Oh, let me look. Yeah, Burger King has yellow, red. McDonald's has yellow, red." Yellow is an appetite stimulant. Red is a stimulating color. So then let's just, this isn't about banks and fast food, but look at banks, blues, trustworthy, greens, neutral color, calming, inviting, just, safety. So we in society are bombarded with this color therapy or these color manipulations all through our lifetime, every day. And then you look at, blue is for boys, pink is for girls. Who made that up? So we have to look at color in a different way. And that's what I love about the different colors. So I'll just kind of go through and just teach your audience a little bit about different colors. So
You?
white, purity, peace, harmony. We have sessions in the harmonic egg. We don't really use white because white is all color. It reflects all color. So when someone's very sick, if they're in the egg, it would be hard for their body to absorb all color. So it's something that our body can absorb through our skin. There is even an eye doctor, Dr. Lieberman. And I think in some of his early books, and he may have changed now, you receive color through the eyes and only the eyes, but that's not true. We absorb color through our aura, through our energy field. Where you're lying in the sun, you got your eyes closed, you're absorbing all that beautiful color of sunlight. So the color black, it reflects no color. It's black, but it's also about protection, respect. Um, Even if you look at the crystal shungite for protection of EMFs, and if you're going to get shungite, there is fake shungite out there, so make sure you get real shungite.
Hmm.
The red's a very stimulating color. It can increase blood pressure. So when you're doing your artwork and you're making it maybe for a child or a blanket for an animal, be really careful about using red. It's very stimulating. And those beautiful souls of animals and children, we don't want to overstimulate them. We want more greens and purples and blues and calming, cooling colors. So red's about stimulation. Red light therapy is very popular right now, but it can be very dangerous because it's not for everyone. People with diseases, major diseases, it can actually activate more of the disease because you're hitting it with red light therapy that's stimulating. If you have an injury of a sports person and it's blood circulation and stimulation, it's going to help heal that wound likely faster. But we don't use the red light with kids and pets. It just can overstimulate a lot of people. Um, so it's associated with the root chakra. If you're into the chakra system, you're looking at the root chakra, which is about survival. Then you go into orange, and you have oranges about success and freedom, fertility, digestion. I've had clients where she's like, I hate orange. Why would you hate orange? And you think about your childhood, and maybe you were in the hospital and the nurses had orange on. And now she's in her 30s and does no idea why she hates orange. So I actually put her on orange light. She was one of my employees, and let her just release that trauma around orange. And it did work. She was like, okay, orange doesn't look so bad to me anymore because there was an underlying trauma that she didn't remember, and it was associated with orange. There's a story about a young child who was allergic to apples. And after years and years of psychology or psychologists and therapists, they found out when she was eating an apple, she saw her cat hit by a car in the street. Immediately, the apple became associated with the cat dying. So you take that, she's allergic to apples. So we got to look at the traumas in our lives and how they've influenced who we are. We have to look at those triggers and feel that those are treasures. Let's figure out why. Why do you get upset about something that seems very trivial? When was the last time you felt that emotion? And trace it back and get out of those places where you can live your best life. We don't need to live with our silly stories. They're just stories. And I have lots of stories that I had to get over, being molested by a priest when I was 14. My dad, an alcoholic. I was, cheated on. I was with narcissists, sociopaths. Those are just stories. It's not who I am. And I've released those stories so I can live my life with clarity and love and just freedom. So orange is a sacral chakra. Do you want me to stop or you want me to keep going? Because you have any
Keep going.
questions? Because
Keep
I
going.
can go on this for hours. Okay. All right, let's do this. So yellow, joy, cheer, the nervous system. I had a little kid in my center. I knew him since he was born, and he knew me really well. He had RSV when he was around 2 years old, and he was in the hospital. He shows up in my center, and he's all of a sudden afraid of me. And what we came to the conclusion, I was wearing a yellow shirt. The nurses had yellow smocks at the hospital. And he said, "Oh my gosh, that yellow shirt, I had a bad traumatic experience in this hospital around people wearing yellow." So we can see how we associate this stuff. So when you're doing your art and you're doing your quilting and you're doing your coloring or anything, this is how we want to think about color and what we want to bring joy to somebody. Let's put some yellow in there. That's with the solar plexus chakra. Greens are, think about nature, trees, grass, everything's green. It's a neutral color. It's safety. It's soothing. And some people say it helps with migraines. I like blue light more for migraines. It's always blue and purple light has always helped when I used to have migraines. So these are all practical things. I even put in my book, at the end of my book, um, I put things you can do at home with color therapy, sound therapy, and I can get into, if we have time, I can get into some of the sounds and the waveforms of instruments. So heart chakra, green, blue, reducing inflammation. We have a piece of music called Reduce Inflammation, and we use it with blue light in the egg. Beautiful. I had a woman one time, she couldn't put on her wedding ring for years. After a session, her swelling went down and she was able to put her wedding ring on after just one session, just reducing inflammation. Blue light, very calming. Um, Lowers blood pressure, whereas red increases blood pressure. So it's associated with the throat chakra, which you and I talked before the show. Um, a lot of people having issues with the throat chakra and my voice. I lost my voice for 2 weeks. It's just now coming back. And I'm so grateful that I could be on this and share some inspiration and share some knowledge and education to your audience. Um, Indigo is a color for the third eye chakra, but it's a bluish purple. So purple, transformation, guidance, spiritual stuff, the crown chakra. Um, just beautiful detoxing for purple. And then we have grays. Grays are around self-control, transition, moderation. If you think about gray, it's kind of a neutral, middle of the road color between whites and blacks. Pinks. There's pink that people use for weight loss. And so there's guys that need to do weight loss, but I don't want guys to believe that pink is for girls. It's for everyone. Pink is also a color on the spectrum of the waveforms of light. Let's see, pink friendship, youth, and then we have browns. Browns are for earth. A lot of people say they put a brown bubble around their car when they travel. It's protection. It's very supportive. It's comforting. It can be around family. Silver, intuition, magic, like the silver lining, right? Gold is like the sun, abundance. And I've noticed with my autistic clients, they very often pick gold and turquoise or a cyan color. So I'll end with the turquoise and cyan, which is a high heart color. And the autistic community is so beautiful and so loving and so brilliant that they choose this high heart color, which is a turquoise kind of cyan color, and gold for their egg sessions. And you can see behind me, I have a book we wrote, Little Dragon and the Giant Egg. Beautiful children's book, but adults love it. But we use the colors around the turquoises, the golds, the cyans, the blues, the purples to be aesthetically pleasing and calming to the autistic community, to children, to adults. Some adults, they think it's just a silly children's book, but they're like, I can't put it down. It just feels so, um, loving. So these are the ways we can use color. Let me think. We want to make sure that when we quilt or we create art, we're not doing it while we're angry, because that energy is going to be in the quilt, it's going to be in the art. And I've watched artists over the years and I've seen how their art changes, like the Salvador Dali's. You can see where he goes through stressful times in his life, sometimes very chaotic art. I have another artist, I can watch his art when he was going through a divorce, very angry. You can feel it. It's not attractive. I watched musicians when they have tough times in their lives. I can't listen to their music. I'm picking up that energy. So be really careful when you're doing your art to put in so much love and appreciation and gratitude. So people just get it and they're like, I don't know why. I just want to hold on to this. It's because of your energy. And when we go to restaurants, be careful. When you feel like you have left there and you feel angry, you probably ate the chef's anger. You probably ate the cook's anger. And so clear that energy, know that it's not yours, and just say, this isn't mine. Feel into it. And so I just wanted to inspire and educate. And I know this is like packed with information. They'll probably have to listen to it a few times and take some notes. But this is me like kind of throwing up all over you, 20, 30 years of my life of studying. And really quickly, just to get into sound, every instrument has a sound wave. And the flute will have an effect on the liver. The piano will have effect on the autonomic nervous system. Drumming will have effect on the immune system. So all this is I've written about, I've researched, because I believe that bringing together the spiritual forces of sound and the spiritual forces of light in a really crazy, large, artistic, wooden, sacred geometric egg has been so brilliant for people to go into and heal in that womb space. So there you go.
Wow. You weren't kidding when you earlier we were talking about people will need to go and listen two or three times. And I do want to mention for anybody who is a VIP listening to this, we are providing a transcript. And this would be a really good reason to become a VIP so that you can um, get the transcript of all of the different colors. And I think you also have some, but not all of that in here. You,
A lot of it. I even break down the chakras and what instruments and what smells and what foods will bring those chakras back into balance. Because a lot of people have brain tumors because they have an imbalance in the third eye chakra. I mean, it's as sometimes as simple as that. Or this is a whole nother interview. They're missing a tone from their voice.
I
And
heard
that's a whole voice
that.
analysis talk that's hours of studying that I've done with if you want to know more, AniWilliams.com, ANI Williams.com. And she's my mentor in voice analysis.
Okay. So one thing that struck me, and it's never actually become a conscious thought before, when you were talking about the chakras, is it um it's not a coincidence that the colors of the chakras going up through the center of the body are the same as the colors of the rainbow.
Correct. And we should be paying attention to that. Everybody, well, my boyfriend wears black every day. And his skin is really wrinkly and kind of leathery because, like I said, with black, it reflects no color. So wearing black, you're going to make your skin kind of gnarly, and you don't want to wear white all the time. But I dress for the planets. If you want to get into this, we can get into astrology. But every day is a planetary, a planet that rules the day and a planet that rules the night. Today is Wednesday, so it's Mercury, which is purple, and the sun, which is gold. So I have a purple ring on, I have yellow socks on. So I honor the planets every day. And there's so much research. You can probably Google uh, days of the week, planets and colors, and it'll come up. There's so much research around it. So yes, we want to eat the rainbow. We want to wear the rainbow. We want to bring all that color into our lives. My office is blue because it's that calming, cooling color. It's also painted with powdered quartz crystal to reflect the EMFs. So I'm not getting, I got my printer here, my computer here, I got my phone here. So the quartz crystals kind of reflect or deflecting the EMFs. My bedroom is purple because it's very relaxing. So everywhere in my life is color. I have the Fiesta ware dishes, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to eat off a red plate today, or I'm going to eat off the purple plate today. I'm crazy with color. And I feel very balanced. I feel very solid. I feel very energized and in tune with all the colors. And it's just beautiful expression. And that's why we have colors and we can see color. It's to honor that, to bring that into our lives. And so, yeah, it's just really beautiful. I could go on for 3 hours.
I did notice that the sweater that you're wearing is an exact match for the plant that's just beside you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I just felt like green for people to hear me and listen would be very soothing and safe, nature, green. So I chose the green today for this particular summit.
Beautiful. That's interesting actually, because I've had two outfits that I've been wearing for I think all but two. And so one is this, which is kind of a dusky green, and the other one is a purple, which is not my kind of color. But when I saw, I went out shopping specifically to find something for the photo shoot, and I found this, and I'm like, it's not my color, but I'm gonna try it on anyway. And there was something about it that just felt so good.
Well, if purple's around guidance, you're guiding people to be in tune with their well-being, their creativity. It makes total sense. When I see people at the store, sometimes I go, I wonder why she chose to wear red today, or wonder why he chose to wear blue today. We just intuitively know what we need if we're not thinking,
Hmm.
especially as adults.
Yeah, sometimes getting the head out of the way and going more with how it's actually making me feel. Now, I want to swing back to something you said about when you're making your artwork, keep your anger out of it. And I'm wondering if you have any suggestions, because I know that in my community we're using embroidery machines, and they're very technical, and sometimes they can act like kids having a tantrum.
Yep.
How, especially, and we're also heading into Mercury retrograde, and it's really fascinating how the machines respond, because they definitely have more of their temper tantrums when Mercury is retrograde than at any other time. So how do you have any suggestions on how to um, sail through this period with ease and grace?
Yes, and I don't let that get to me. I stay in a place of love and gratitude, and everything just works for me. Everything always works out. I have challenges, I have stress, but everything always works out for me. What I do is I go out and I ground. I will go touch my horse. I will go, I have a horse out in the barn. And so that's very grounding for me. You have to take a step away and take a deep breath. I tell my one employee, I said, stop working at 7 o'clock at night, because at 7 o'clock at night, you've been working all day, you're making silly mistakes, you're tired. If you get up tomorrow morning, you're going to be able to do all that stuff that took you 3 hours to do after 7 p.m. You're going to be able to do that in 30 minutes because you're fresh, and you just kind of take a step and you walk away, you take a couple of deep breaths, maybe do a clearing of the mind yoga. And sometimes I'll go on YouTube and I'll just type in EFT, which is an emotional freedom technique. And I'll say, okay, I just need to do 5 minute tapping on releasing anger. And so, the tapping where you do the whole tapping
Yep.
thing,
Yep.
it works. It works. I don't know what it does, something with the nervous system. It shifts your energy. So tapping, deep breaths, grounding, and I won't give any more. That's enough for people to say, okay, I'm gonna just go do 4 minute tapping exercise and release this anger so that it doesn't go into my work. And yes, we have frustrations. We're human beings, and that's why we're here to experience every emotion that we can. But it doesn't mean we have to be that emotion. We don't have to embody that. We don't have to be anger. We don't have to be shame. We don't have to be guilt. We have a choice. I want to be love and gratitude. Some days, 10 minutes or an hour of my day is anger and pissed off, but I go and do my yoga. I go out to the barn and I'm like, back to love and gratitude quickly. And that's the best way. The more you stay in a place of anger and fear, the more disease you're going to manifest in the body. It's going to settle somewhere and express itself. Liver, anger, kidneys, fear, lungs, grief. It's going to express itself. Stomach worry, pancreas worry, it's going to express itself somewhere. So the more you can stay in love and gratitude, the better you're going to feel, and the more you're going to be able to support everyone in your life.
Beautiful. Um, one, so we've talked about color. I want to touch on light. We spend so much time and in talking about color, we talked about blue, we talked about red. I'm kind of interested, given that color-wise, blue is calming, red is activating. And yet there's a lot of talk about we're sitting in front of blue lights with all of our computers and our phones and this, that, and the other. And the encouragement is to put a red filter on your phone. Let's say if you're using your phone or your tech, your gadgets. Well, these things, late at night. So that seems kind of counter to blue is soothing and the red is activating. Can you explain that?
Absolutely. And I'm not a scientist with the electronics blue light, but I will tell you there's the bad blue light, just like there's energies in the pyramids from way back when. There's a negative green, and that's a negative green energy that sometimes people build pyramids. And in that area of the top of the pyramid, you can get a negative electric green and it's a bad frequency. So
Huh.
use your intuition. I don't like to be on computers late at night. I have the blue blocker glasses. I have different things, but there is a bad blue light and it comes from electronics. So you definitely want to use your intuition. I mean, every one of us can say you've walked into a room and you've got sick to your stomach. You're like, okay, there's something negative in here. So feel into it. There's good and bad in everything. You can look up the negative effects of water and the positive effects of water. And on the internet, you will find something. You will find somebody that says water's horrible. And everything in moderation is what my dad taught me. So if you drink 2 gallons of water a day, it could probably hurt you. If you drink over alkaline water, and your blood is acidic and your body's acidic, it could hurt you. So you have to use a little common sense. We've been taught what to think all of our lives. We need to learn how to think.
Hmm.
We have all the resources to do our research, do our due diligence. We have all the intuition and that little small, still voice and that little and butterflies in your stomach where we know exactly if we're discerning and we pay attention, we know exactly what's good and not good for us.
Bringing it all back to listen to your body rather than what's happening
Absolutely.
in here. So
Absolutely.
before we end, you've mentioned the egg. Can you tell everybody exactly what is the harmonic egg?
It is exactly, kidding, pun intended. It is exactly a large wooden egg, and it's for sound and light healing therapy. You actually go inside. You can push the doors open. Don't worry, claustrophobic people are like, oh my God, I can't go inside. You can push the doors open. There's a doorbell in there. But what we've done is we've created musical prescriptions for just about any intention that you have, and we'll say, okay, for that intention, we're going to use drumming and flute music with blue and purple light. We're going to use bells and guitar and green light. So we have a musical prescription for just about any intention. All the practitioners are trained by me through online training and different required reading. And so when you go in and you listen to 40 minutes of music with your intention, 10 minutes of complete silence. You're reclined in a zero gravity chair, so you're like a little recliner inside there. Zero gravity means your feet are at the level of your heart or above. So the, really floaty feeling takes a lot of pressure off the spine. After the 10 minutes of silence, you come out and you have 5 to 7 days to integrate the session. If you're doing energy work, be really careful. So many people these days are like, I want to get a massage and chiropractic adjustment. I'm going to do an egg session and I'm going to go get acupuncture on the same day. That is very dangerous for the body because then the body doesn't know what to do with all that energy. It's kind of just chaotic. Every one of those things is beautiful and brilliant, but you need to let it integrate. Just as you would when you eat breakfast, you don't eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the same time. You let breakfast digest, then you eat lunch, then you let lunch digest, and you eat dinner. Energy work is the same. Let it digest, let it integrate. So everybody, we're seeing this is the future of medicine, is frequency medicine, color medicine. We're vibrational beings of light from source, from God. We should be healing with sound and light. And this is just a beautiful expression. The egg is of sound and light in a sacred geometry chamber made out of wood, not crystals, not plastic, so that you can absorb the nature. It's brown inside, so that color of brown being supportive, comforting, and wood doesn't hold information and energy. So it's very spiritual properties of it are just very beautiful. So if you resonate with it, great. If it's not for you to sit inside a large wooden egg and heal, that's okay. It is your journey. You listen to your body, you discern what your body needs, and just do a lot of thinking for yourself.
Now, you also can do a remote session, so you don't have to be physically inside the egg. How in the world
Correct.
does that work?
I am an engineer and I can't figure it out either. But here's what I can say. Everything's energy. And when you pray for somebody and they receive those prayers and they have a healing, it's the same thing. It's sending energy remotely. It's distance healing. And so when you go into the egg, your picture goes in there, which is an expression of you as a soul being. And we have so many success stories from remote sessions, which blow my mind. Um, right before I left for Conscious Life Expo to speak, my horse, I went out to the barn in the morning and her whole eye was swollen. It was pussy. I'm like, oh, great. I can't leave her like this with the horse sitter. She won't know what to do. Immediately went in the house, took a picture of the horse, put that picture in there. I did some silver. I like to use a colloidal or more of a silver protein. That's one of my go-tos. I gave her some silver. 24 hours later, her eyes wide open, no pus, nothing. Now, how do you explain that? I didn't put the silver in her eye because she's not going to let me put silver in her eye. So it was the egg remote session, put some silver in her grain, and within 24 hours, it's healed. That
Wow.
doesn't compute. So there's something about distance healing that actually works. People can send Reiki healing to others. People can send prayers to others and they receive those. They feel those. So there's something energetic that I don't think that we as humans can grok in our small little tiny minds.
I know I, for one, I've scouted out where the closest egg is to Tucson. I was kind of hoping when you came back from the Conscious Life Expo, you might have found somebody who put one of these eggs in somewhere in Tucson. But there is one in Mesa, which is less than 100 miles from here. But if anybody can't get to an actual egg, you can schedule time in the egg, but stay at home, which is one of
And
those
just know I do,
mind-blowing
right?
situations.
And if you always wanted to travel to, say, Peru, and you want to absorb the energy of Peru, do a remote session in the Peru egg. You will feel the energy of the land. It is crazy.
Wow. Do you have one in Egypt?
Not yet.
Do you have any plans to go to Egypt?
I have been to Egypt, and the egg has some Egyptian energy. I believe from, if you believe in past lives, I believe it came from my past life. When I went to Egypt, I was with a diplomatic family that was kind of friends with Hosni Mubarak at the time, and so I didn't really appreciate. I was in my late 20s. I didn't really appreciate where I was, or I was so comfortable there. Why would I take a picture of myself on my couch? I didn't take any pictures. I stood at the foot of the Sphinx. We could go anywhere we wanted to with this family. And I got home and people said, "Where are the pictures?" I said, "I didn't take any." I thought, why would I take pictures of myself sitting on my couch? It was so comfortable. It was so home to me that I think that I had to have been there before. It was my first time there in this lifetime, but it was very strange when I came back home and I thought I didn't take any pictures.
That is interesting. Well, if you want to go back to Egypt, I've had this thing going on in my mind about go to Egypt with Gail.
Yeah, it would be fun. I want to go to the Dendera temple with the Hathor energy. I really want to experience that now that I'm a little more mature at the age of 54 than I was when I was in my late 20s when I went there.
Yeah, so much opens up as we get older. It's fascinating.
Yeah, it
Well,
really
thank
is.
you so much for being here with us today. You have a special code that if people want to go and purchase some music on your website or either of your books, we will have a link to that directly below here. And your website is
Harmonicegg.com. Easy.
beautiful, harmonicegg.com. And you can see pictures of it on your website too. I find it absolutely fascinating. Um, and I'm excited to go and actually experience one in person pretty soon. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for letting me just kind of download a bunch of information to inspire and to educate your audience, and hopefully everybody learns something and they carry it into their life for a better quality of life and more expressive art.
Absolutely. Thank you. Hi, Sarah here, and I wanted to jump back in with a quick invitation for you to join me for my free masterclass, Let a Light Shine on Your Creativity. It's going to be held the last weekend of March, and everyone is invited. So click on the link just beneath this video and register to join me.